Welcome, Gabe, to October's edition of the Chester Copperpot podcast. How's things all been?
It's been a little while, yeah. Things are pretty good. No complaints. How about you?
All good this end. It's been a bit of a crazy start of the season for the Bukkake Jackies. How about yourselves?
I think we've had relatively similar starts in the last 5 weeks. Well, 5.9 weeks we're on now, with one game left of game week 6. But yeah, it's been a fun start. I'm enjoying it.
It has. As we are speaking, the last final game of Burnley versus Spurs is actually on there, and there's a few times.
And we've both got skin in the game.
I know. We've got to get. We're both looking for wins, and we both haven't really got many wins so far this season.
No, we haven't. I think 3 going into this game. Is that right? Two or 3.
I think I've only got 2. But
I must be 2. Yeah, I'm counting my win already for this week. So yeah, we're
both
sat on 3 after this week, which would be a 50% conversion rate, which isn't too bad at the start. That's recoverable.
Well, I'm touching cloth on my tie. I think it was 7 points going into it. Me and STP United, and both had 2 players left to play. So how this podcast progresses, my mood will probably reflect the game.
Yeah, key stat going into that one. You are the lowest point scorer of the season so far going into this game week, and he was second in the table, joint on 4 wins.
Don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, but listen, we're seasoned pros. We're in our 5th season of draft fantasy football now, so we should have all the tools to our disposal to get ourselves out of the mess and up the table.
You make it sound easy.
I know I do. But, I mean, it's been a bit of a bizarre start of the season in terms of results in the Premier League. I mean, there's been some...
Yeah.
I mean, just obviously, was it 2 weeks ago? Villa beat Liverpool 7-2.
That was a big one.
That was crazy.
Leicester Man City as well. Another crazy one.
Leicester were crazy because Leicester turned over Man City, what was it, like 5-2? But then Leicester get turned over by West Ham, of all people, 3-0. And then you're thinking West Ham are doing great, but then Newcastle, of all people, turned over West Ham on the first game of the season. So it's like dogs are eating other...
Anyone can beat anyone.
It is. It's just like...
It's going to be a low-scoring season, isn't it, for whoever's champions? They're not going to have... It's not going to be 100 or even a 90-point season. It's going to be 70s, maybe pushing 80s for the champions.
It does. It makes for an interesting season, that's for sure. I mean, who do you think...
I saw a stat today.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. Of all the games so far, there's been, I think it was 26 wins, 26 away wins, which is 50% of the results have been away wins.
Well, I looked at that. When you look at betting, because obviously there's no crowd now, is there much of an advantage? And especially with players now, they get wined dined in 69 the night before. It's not as if they're stopping in like the local travel lodge the night before. So is there much advantage with any fans in there on away versus home ties?
I think the evidence says not.
It's not indeed, which means Spurs should win tonight. No qualms about it, no excuses.
Well, we're sat on 38 minutes so far, and the stat in the bottom left-hand corner, Burnley have had 3 attempts, 1 on target. Spurs have had 2 attempts, 0 on target. So it's not looking too good for them at the minute.
Well, I'm hoping McNeil is not one of the ones who's had them shots on target. But you said that everything's going to be packed in this season. Who do you think? Who's your top 4 in the Premier League finishing?
I mean, it's a coin toss at the minute, isn't it? Really, but you've got to assume Liverpool and Man City are going to get back there. You can't imagine not being there, can you? After everything I know they're missing Van Dijk, but I think Spurs giving a penalty away. Under Mourinho, I mean, they've had a great start, haven't they? But for me, Mourinho just never seems to be up and around there anymore.
I've got right. I think you're right. I think Liverpool are going to win it because I think they've still got too much going forward, and they'll probably get a centre-half in because they cannot be relying on Fabinho, Gomez and Matip.
Yeah, no chance.
And summit's up with Man City, right? I mean, let alone obviously...
all that money spent on the defence.
Exactly. But they just don't look decent at all. So I still think they finish second, and I think it'll be Spurs third and Chelsea fourth.
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with that. Chelsea made the game look boring yesterday against Man United, but I think that was the way that Frank Lampard set it up. With getting a point at Old Trafford isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Arsenal don't look very good. Aubameyang's gone right off the boil since he signed his contract. Willian, who I've got, isn't really doing much. Pepe doesn't seem to really start very much, and like I said, doing okay-ish, but I think he missed the City yesterday, didn't he?
He did, He got one chalked off early doors and all. And you've got your Evertons and the Wolves, but I don't think they're going to be really challenging top four, possibly challenging them.
You never know with Everton, with Ancelotti and James Rodriguez doing so well, Calvert-Lewin right in form. There might be a surprise package for pushing top four.
They looked canny turd yesterday without Richarlison, though. Calvert-Lewin didn't got a shot on target.
He was very disappointing. Not many target points.
No. But I think them four for me are going to be up there and about. But I think Spurs might be one to look out for this season.
I hope so. I've got Son in my fantasy team, so if they do well, I do well.
So who have been your farmers so far this season?
My farmers?
Farmers outstanding in their field.
I gave you that one, didn't I?
Easy.
Well, for me, having Son, apart from the game where he was supposed to be out injured, made a comeback and scored 50 points on my bench, which lost me the game. He was outstanding the week on my bench.
Yeah.
So him for me, unreal. I was sixth pick in the draft.
Was he?
And got him. So my first pick, sixth pick.
Is he the top scorer? It's got to be between him and Kane, surely.
He's second to Kane, so Kane's on 151.5, Son's on 130, Salah's 2 points behind Son, but Son's got half a game in hand.
Assisting each other's goals, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been all over each other. They must have had a summer of love, getting to know each other really well.
Having a bit of afternoon delight.
You never know.
Yeah, I think them two have. I mean, you've got your Salahs and your Brumos who are doing well, but they're understandably, they were probably the top five in the top five drafts of most leagues, weren't they? So
yeah. I think when no, maybe not. I think when you look down the list, I mean, James Rodriguez was one of them that could have gone either way, wasn't he? So with 109 points, fourth best in the game, that's a really good start for him.
J-Rod, do you know what it is? I embarrassingly said that he was going to be a flop pre-season in our last podcast. I thought he was going to be all mouth and no action.
He could have been another Cavani. Not Cavani. He could have been another Falcao.
I know. But he has. I didn't realise he was fourth top though. He's set piece taker, isn't he, as well?
Yeah. Who else is surprisingly up there? Ollie Watkins, signed to Villa. He looks like he's about 15th, 20th in the list here.
What was it? Not Ollie
14th.
Watkins. Ollie Watkins and Grealish, they might be a bit deceptive because obviously that 7-2 Tongan at Liverpool
got them a lot of points.
I think Watkins got a hat-trick and Grealish got 2 goals and assists and the other 5 or something. I'm sure they were like 50
very true.
Each. So I don't know how true that is. What about your top of the Plopps who have been guaranteed points machines and had a real poor start of the season for you?
Very good question. I think there's a few in your team, isn't there? From the stats that I keep, your first 2 picks have netted you very little so far.
Absolutely. I had Martial Mathers, who not only started poor, but then got a stupid sending off. That wasn't a great start. He's been poor. And I picked up Doherty, who was a points machine for Wolves, and then got dropped. A nice play in the night, but he hasn't carried on where he's left off. I've got to say, I've got a lot of them up there. I picked Ziyech, and I think he will become good, but obviously he got crocked the day after the draft. So I'm just carrying a load of crap, but too good that you think you can't trade out. Because if I get rid
of
them
or trade them,
getting picked up straight away. So that's been my problem, I think. But
I think
like you mentioned before, Albania, man. I think he hasn't scored since the season.
Poor. He's been poor. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold been really poor as well.
Yes, good point,
he's the 88th best scorer, and I think he was someone's first pick. He was the first round pick in our draft. I'm sure he was in most drafts, to be honest.
I'm sure he was in the top 5. 88th. 88.
Yeah.
But Liverpool, they're going to be keeping less clean sheets as well this season, aren't they? Now,
everyone seems to be. So without Van Dijk, it's going to be even worse.
I tell you now he's had a bit of a knock, but James Maddison, he's only a points machine, hasn't been up to much. Traore,
he's not been playing.
Amada Traore, big 80.
No, benched as well.
No, hasn't been playing.
Big baby Oiler Dharma.
Yeah, baby Oiler Dharma.
Paul Pogba. I managed to ship him out for Wilfried Zaha. I don't have a clue why someone accepted that, but I've had him in 2 weeks. He got 11 points and then 33 points, whereas Pogba got about 2 points and then didn't play the next match. So that trade's worked out very well for me.
Doing very well. And the fact that he's a midfielder now. Talking about Plopps, congratulations to Plopps for having a mini Plop.
Yeah, I don't think it was all that mini.
Oh, was it not? Was it a big birthday?
Well, compared to Plop-sized Plopps, it was probably big.
Oh, bloody hell. What did he have at that, lass?
He's still there. He got a low battery warning. He's had a little boy called Hayden Isaac Tough.
Isaac, probably after Isaac Hayden.
Well, his name's Hayden Isaac, so...
What, he's named him after a Newcastle player?
No, the other way around.
Still pretty much like... That's controversial being a Mackie. And STP, the guy who I'm hoping to beat this week, he had a Ben, little lass, called Ella.
Congratulations to him as well.
There are sprogs dropping out all over the shop in the Togger community.
Two babies in a week.
I was going to say, congratulating you last month, and then do this month.
3 2020 babies, yeah.
That is not what's been going on. But yeah, sorry, going a bit of left field. So we've seen the Plopps, we've seen the farmers. Who have been hidden gems? Who have been picking up this year?
Another good question.
My favourite so far is a guy who was written off before a ball was kicked. Cow Pat, Rick Bamford. Got a hat-trick on Friday, but he's been banging in. He must be the league's top scorer, is he?
He's ninth overall Togger scorer. He's got 6 goals. Son's got 7, so he's behind Son. He's behind Calvert-Lewin, but he's up there. Yeah, definitely a hidden gem.
Talking about Calvert-Lewin as well. I think he will have been mid-draft for most people this season.
He was mid-draft for us, and even with a bad week, he's still the top scorer. I was going to mention, who was I going to mention? Oh, names escaped from my head now. Shea Adams. He's having very quietly.
He is
tumbling away, getting some points in.
Key passes and assists, even when he's not scoring goals, isn't he? He's doing well. I think he's doing
very well
this week in our league, and I thought that was a good pickup actually.
Scored, didn't he?
He did. He scored last week,
He's doing well. Yeah, 2 goals, 5 key passes, 2 assists. That's not bad.
He's probably a good tier 2, tier 3 forward to have. If someone's been injured, you'll probably be putting in.
Most definitely.
A decent one. Talking about trades, like I said earlier, I don't know about anyone else's league, but our league's been a bit local. There's been a lot of trades early this season. In the last couple of years, everyone's been a bit cagey over getting rid of players, but there's been a lot of trade action. I don't know if you can.
Well, last season there was one person who traded a lot, particularly, wasn't there? Because Bry in our league had a great start. He was top of the league, and then he just started willy-nilly dishing out trades and ruined his squad.
He did.
So, new to Togger that season. So, maybe a bit of new boy advantage taken of him there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this season we've had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades so far, which
the lowdown of these trades
is pretty impressive. So this week, it's been a busy week for trades, actually, if I'm honest. So we've had Ricardo Pereira to James Ward-Prowse.
I think that's probably
an interesting one. will be when Pereira comes back, obviously.
Do you think Pereira fits straight back in?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because they've got Castagna and they've got
Justin.
Oh, what's the other guy's names? Justin, yeah. And they're both doing well, so there's no rush to get him back, is there?
Pereira is a togger punch machine, but because of his nature of his injury, I don't think it's going to be something in the way they play them, flying down. I don't know if he's going to be getting. I can see him not being, a regular again until maybe it's after Christmas.
Potentially, yeah. It might be a long wait for reigning champion Jura to see him on the pitch.
Whereas I think James Ward-Prowse, I think he's a solid performer. He'll probably
very solid
in front of his beats, probably double figures most weeks. Takes corners,
I think,
kicks, assists. Did he score?
Yeah, I think Colo's got he did score, and I think Colo's got the best end of that trade.
I do as well. I think he's done well with that trade. There was a Thiago and
we've got
Danny Van de Beek, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a... Well, I mean, Van de Beek's not really playing, but I think that's a bit of a nothing trade, to be honest. A bit like for like.
None of them are going to be pulling the trees, are they?
No. I think the next one on the list that went through this week, Thomas Partey for Phil Foden. I think AFC Ragman has stolen Phil Foden there, if I'm honest.
Do you know what it is? I saw that deal and I couldn't believe he'd done it. I think what he's done, he saw that Foden wasn't playing and he wanted to get rid of him, and he's just looked at his trades, had one open and accepted it without thinking. Because Foden, I think he was going to be...
Wholeheartedly agree.
I think that was it was a panic accept of a trade, that one. I think that'll come back to bite him.
It's a bad one for Desperate Dan, being desperate when the lineups came out there. Another trade this week, and this was the big one. We had Bruno Fernandes and Antonio packaged together. Second draft pick, Bruno Fernandes, going to Colo Colo FC5, and De Bruyne and Aguero moving the other way over to AFC Ragman. Interesting one, that. What do you think?
I was going to say, I think personally, I would prefer KDB and Aguero. I know Aguero just picked up a knock, but so was Antonio, in fairness. But I think I would, if I had the choice out the two, I'd go for the two City lads. Mainly because
I would agree.
Them two, both fit, are going to be playing, and now both of them are injury prone. Bruno's, he's quality in that, and Antonio's been class since return of lockdown. But I'd probably go for the KDB and Aguero again. Bragg has pretty much strengthened his team kind of well this week. Getting KDB, Aguero and Foden in for Partey in my pants, Bruno and who's it on Antonio? Yeah, I think Ragg's done well, done some good business.
He has done some very good business, and I'm still trying to shift Bernardo Silva and Edison over to him, but he's very reluctant to let go of the player that I want. So we'll see if that one can come through. But I know he wants them.
What's going on? What it is? I drafted Gundogan in just for that reason. I thought I'll pie him off the Rag. He'll want him because he's a City player.
Interesting strategy. He's gone for as many City players as he can get. And now I think
won the league by doing that one.
Wall. I've heard that they did, but I think we've got a very stubborn trader, Sam Raheem Sterling, and I don't see him going anywhere.
Well, the thing is, he's got nothing left of value that's not City. So the only value he would have had was Bruno, and he's got rid of him. So he's not going to be getting a City boy for a City boy. So no, I don't think it's...
Well, my trade remains open, trying to take advantage of him. Lacazette, who he can't play because he's got 3 City forwards now. He's got Mahrez, Torres and Aguero. And Edison, who he really, really wants because he's not played a keeper the last 2 weeks. I'll take Bernardo Silva and Edison together. He can give me Lacazette.
Would you get rid of...
Everyone's happy.
That bad? I know he's had a poor start, but is he that bad? I thought he was going to get more game time. Old Bill that.
I'm not going to talk down a player that I'm trying to trade away.
True.
He's great. Best player since sliced bread.
Have you got the form table up there?
I can have the league table up in one quick click. Yeah.
Can you give us the...
So we've got one. Someone still has a 0 against them, their name, right. And that man is AFC Ragman, who has he's 5 for 0 in favour of the losses.
And see,
he's on a cold, very cold streak, so he needs to do something about it, which I think has prompted all these trades.
Well, it looks like at least he's doing something about it, acting early doors.
Very true. It's very true. So at the bottom, we've got AFC Ragman. Up next with one win, we've got Colo Colo FC.
Yeah.
8th is the Bukkake Jackies, yourself.
Yeah.
7th, Scranton Stranglers, myself. 6th, Chudley Cannons. Moving into the top half, we've got Desperate Dan, the Villains FC, in 5th place. Peaky and De Bruyne at a heady high of 4th, bottom of the league 2 seasons ago, second bottom last year, has completely got lost and is somehow up in 4th, and I think winning again this week.
I think he's got a good squad.
Previous champion Jura is in 3rd, again with 3 wins. 2 lads with 4 wins. You've got STP United in 2nd. Inter Goal Acticos FC, top of the league. 4 wins as well, 1 loss. So,
but interesting one. He got beat last week, and he looks like Desperate Dan might pick him this week. I don't know how his ties look at him, if you can see. It was a big separating them this week, and I think Desperate Dan's got Hoiberg, who's never going to be pulling in that many points. I think that's going to be the difference between them. I think he needed 3 or 4.
So as we sit at half time, Desperate Dan is 1.25 points behind. So he might just pull through on that one. We've got Colo Colo FC winning against the FC Ragman. So that puts Colo Colo FC on 2 wins and the FC Ragman on 0 wins. So Rags getting cut adrift a little bit now in last place. Peaky and De Bruyne is 91 points against the Chudley Cannons, 52 points, but the Chudley Cannons have 3 players in play, one of which is Harry Kane. So you never know. He might pull some of them points back, but I don't think he's going to win. I've beat Sonny Marnie Happy Days as things stand because he's got no players in play and I'm 10 points ahead. And between yourself and STP United, there is 10.5 points in your favour and a matched clean sheet. We've got Ben Davies versus who did you say had Matt Doherty? I've got
the right back, he's got the left back.
If you win and I win, it's looking like the top 3 feasibly could all lose. So 3rd place is lost. If you win, that means STP loses, and I'm beaten. Who was the other one? And Dan could beat Bry. Top 3 all lose. If we win, that's us heading in the right direction up the table.
Right. Well, we've got 2-pack actually coming on, I think, soon to do the odds of the season for all the players. Now we're a few games.
I'm looking forward to that.
I know.
Our in-house odds master.
Getting 2-packs bookies. But before, what I wanted to look at was a nice stat that you've been bringing to the table this season, where you've compared everyone's drafts to their current form. So people basically who've been wheeling, dealing, trading, dropping, picking up some free agents. Have you got that at hand at the minute?
Yes. So I should probably explain what it is. So I've taken everybody's drafted list of players and I'm adding up the points that they accrue every week. So we've got everybody's got a drafted score as a baseline, and that's their whole squad. It's not their first team 11.
Yeah.
And then I've gone through each week and I'm picking off their full squad, and adding the points from all their players for that given week. They're in their squad at the point of playing a match. So we've got 5 weeks of data here of everyone's squad's cumulative sort of scoring. You then compare it versus the draft and you can see who's been a good wheeler dealer and who's been a relatively poor wheeler dealer.
Or you could argue who drafted really dash. People maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's the
good drafting.
That's the case for the top of the list here. We've got Colo Colo FC, who's draft after 5 weeks in netted them 282.25 points. Not very much at all. If you think about 5 game weeks,
that's enough to make any man's bum sick.
I know. Tell us about it. Mm-hmm. And mine was. I did that stat. But he's actually scored 581 points in 5 weeks with his squad. So he's improved his squad by 298 players.
He's made some good bold squad movements.
And that was done before the Fernandez trade and stuff. So that number now will start shooting up even further. And then at the other end of the spectrum is the other one to mention. So we've got Chudley Cannons FC, who, how do I put this politely?
You don't have to put it politely.
Lost their first two matches like an absolute little bitch, benching all their players. I see it as cheating, but it's not in the league rule book.
When he done the whole
so he wanted Gareth Bale. So he threw his first 2 game weeks, gifted his opponent the win by putting out hardly any players. His drafted score was very high. So he's got the highest drafted score of anyone, 664.25 points. But through the process of throwing his game weeks and picking up Bale, he's actually lost 6 points versus his drafted squad score. So he's gone backwards.
Well, I've read something that Bale's not going to be up to speed until I reckon back end of November. They're trying to drip feed him into the European games, but he's only going to be a cameo, they reckon, for up until at least I think they said after the next international. I think was that mid-November or start of November.
I hope not. I don't want the international break. Struggled enough through the last one.
He suck ass international breaks, but I think we've all got the. I mean, to be fair, they're even worse than normal at the minute, but no, it is a good start. What's your draft versus actual?
Mine, I have improved to the tune of 92.25 points. So I drafted 492 points and I've actually scored 584 points for the full squad. So
the drafted squad has scored more than my actual squad. I think I was only flirting around 400 points in this game week.
Not even. So you drafted 344 points and your whole squad had scored 391 points after 5 weeks, which is very poor.
I haven't even hit 400 yet.
No.
Oh, word. I'll tell you what that is, though, is because of me high-profile players, me Dohertys, me Martials, me Zajceks.
We're
all done probably in the first 5 or 6 picks, and none of them have played. For one reason or another.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, I did. It's hard to describe now, but I did map out for everyone in our league just to show the points by draft pick. So you've got your draft pick numbers across the top, your teams down the left, and in every box there's a score so far. And your first pick, great. Great, not great. Okay, 47.5 points,
right,
and then 0 points for your second round, 2 points for your third round. That's where you've been let down, and that's Martial and what's his name?
Zajcek.
That's it.
I'm not going to panic though, right? I know there's many people in this
situation. Can't panic.
They'll be like, right, let's quickly trade, let's do this, do that. I've got confidence in the draft. I've had a bit of misfortune, a bit poor picking, but I've got faith in some of the lads. As I said, Doherty and Martial, Mathers don't become bad Togger players overnight. I think they will pick up.
Yeah, I mean, if you take three of your weeks, maybe 2 of your weeks, you scored 106 in week 1, which is a good score.
Yeah.
You scored 109 in week 4, another good score. You scored 39 in week 2. That's really pulling your numbers down. You scored 58 in week 3, which is another bad score.
Yeah.
Last week, 83. This week, everyone's got a relatively low score. It's just a low scoring week. So the right factors are there. You just got to wait for it to come good, I think.
I think so as well. I mean, they'll even themselves out. Because I can't get in touch with Tupac, he might have to wait until November's podcast now. He said he was going to ping in Mr. Reliable. I haven't. So I'm just going to ask you instead, who's your favourite for your top 3? Looking at the table in front of you now, who do you think's finishing your top 3?
Okay.
Chester Copperpot come the end of the season.
Me, I'm going to be up there this year. After a very poor season last year, you've got to back yourself in these situations.
Okay.
I think the Chudley Cannons have got a fantastic squad. Yeah. They scored 169.75 last week. Yeah. They've got Kane, they've got Havertz, they've got Werner, they've got Bale. I think when you go through the squad, they've got Alan Saint-Maximin. They've got some really good players in there. So I think they're going to be tipped for success.
Yeah.
And my third spot, probably one of last season's strong boys, maybe STP.
I'm going something similar. Believe it or not, I'm going for me, top of the Plopps again, going for my third title. I think my guys will come good. I think second, I also think the Trevor Cannons, he's got very good balance to his team. And he's got players who are going to be starting week in, week out, and I's had a bad one this week. And my third is a bit controversial. I was going to go for Bry with the Intergalacticos because I think he's learned from last season. He's got good balance. He's got Jimenez and Mo Salah up top. He's got players to get better like James Madison and Wan-Bissaka. He's got good depth in Digne. Barkley's been good. But I'm actually going to go for a sly dog in Plopps, in Piqué and De Bruyne. I've been really impressed with his turnaround.
Good shout.
And he's got some good, strong players. Vardy's been brilliant. He's got Richarlison, who's a points machine. Picked up Shea Adams, like you said. Jorginho's on pens. He's got Pogba, Bowen, Zuma, Trent. I think he's got a good, solid squad. And I think I'm going to go for
He has. You know, the reason that I didn't say Bry is that I think Bry's got a good team. But I think the one man who can stop Bry from doing well this season is Bry.
Is Bry. His self-destruct button will get pressed.
Yeah, you'll press that and you'll start spamming the trades out, and you'll give away Jimenez for, you know, someone who some FPL guy puts on his Twitter that he's going to score 40 points this week.
Who's your bottom? Who's getting relegated this season?
Relegated. Oof. Am I allowed to say Tim?
No. Well, unless he thinks someone getting sacked and he's coming in.
I mean, Ragman, he's not 1-6, and he's backed City to the hilt. He's got 3 City defenders in, which I think is just an awful decision. He's gonna end up bailing on that in a few weeks' time. I can't see him coming back from being cut away.
I totally agree. I'm with you on that. Okay, mate. Well, that's time up. It's been lovely having a catch up with you. And
very good.
We'll have the odds and a lot more in the November edition of the Chester Copperpot podcast. The good best.
Maybe we try and. Well, I hope so too. It's looking good for me. It's looking okay for you as well. So here's hoping that in 42 minutes time, we're both just as happy as we are right now.
Exactly. Okay, mate. Adios, amigo.
Good to see you. Take care. All the best.